Welcome to Video 10, Counting Collections Demonstration. This supplemental small group activity provides children with opportunities to count objects and represent their thinking on paper. Counting collections allows children to develop their understanding of the counting principles in a fun, engaging way and allows you to see what children understand about counting and build on what children already know. The materials you'll need for this activity are pre-made collections of classroom materials, a recording sheet for each child, one age-appropriate writing tool for each child, and a timer. Please refer to the activity instructions for how to individualize for your classroom. This activity provides the opportunity to use the following key instructional practices for meaningful counting. Observe how children count. Ask questions that encourage the use of counting skills and strategies, and address counting errors with individualized instruction. Ask children to identify the cardinal amount after they count, and vary 3 things when you count: set size, what is counted, and order in which you count objects. Let's join a couple of classrooms as they engage in this activity, and then listen in as the teachers reflect with a colleague.
So I'm going to give each one of you one of the bags of treasures. And your job is to take them all out and count them to tell me how many are in the bags. Okay? That's the first thing we're going to do. And everybody has a different kind of treasure.
Well, like these.
And how many shells did you have in your treasure bag?
12.
Can you show me how you found out that there were 12? What did you do to find out? Can you show me how you did it so that I can see?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And how many were there?
12.
12. And how did putting them in a line help you?
Because the ones I didn't really count, I don't know.
Oh, so you were keeping track of the ones you counted and the ones that you still needed to count. And being in a line really helped you. I'm going to push them up a little bit so that I can give you a piece of paper too, so that you can help me make a sheet that reminds me how many shells are in that treasure bag. And what did you have in your treasure bag?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
How many candles did you have in your bag?
15.
15. And you separated them nicely. How did that help you know how many there were?
15.
How? Why?
15.
15. There are 15. But how did putting them in a line and separating them help you figure out that there were 15? How did it help you count?
If a child struggles to name how they counted, provide language that helps them see what they did and how they did it. Over time, they will internalize this language and way of talking.
They said that they put them in a line so that they could keep track of which ones they already counted and how many they needed to still count. So can I move them up a little bit and give you a piece of paper so that you can also help me remember how many there are in this treasure bag?
I'm done.
Okay, let me come and see. Lamari. Okay, so tell me what you did.
I made rocks and then I put the numbers in it.
Okay, so how do I know that there are 8? You said that there were 18 here? And how do I know that there's the same number of circles on your paper as the number of rocks on the table?
I draw circles, and then I draw the numbers after I draw the circles.
Okay, where are the 18 rocks on your paper? Is that the 18? Is that all the rocks that are there, this one? Or is 18 all of these? All of these. All of these. So how can you show me that all of these are 18? What can you do? Because I'm a little confused. This is number 18, but is this the 18, or is 18 all of these together?
18 is all of these together.
So what can you do on your paper to show me that all of these are 18?
Draw a circle.
Okay.
This is what I'm going to use.
So all of those are the 18 blocks.
Thanks for letting me come and watch Counting
course,
Collections,
of
Rebecca.
course.
I'm so excited to hear about your thoughts on how it went.
Well, I was really gratified to see what they were doing, because we've been really working on the teen numbers,
Yeah, that's
which
a
are
big thing.
yeah, and I just couldn't believe how easy it came for them. You know, that staying within 10 for such a long time makes such a difference.
Yeah, and I know it was really hard for you to do, but I think it shows
off.
with what we're seeing now, right?
I mean, they really were able to just count with the one-to-one correspondence, remembering the sequence. But I think, as I said, I think that the whole thing with the cardinality and all of that is so cemented for them because we've done so much counting and we've been doing this for such a long time. That's why I was pushing for, does this one have to be 18?
Yeah.
Because I was really wanting them to articulate that, right? Because in a way, I hope that we can move away from this as a way to keep track,
Yeah.
because this isn't two,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
So when I said, is this 18? And at first he said yes, because he meant this is rock number 18. But I said, is this 18 rocks? And he looked at me, no.
Yeah.
And so I said, how can you show me that there are 18 rocks? Because and that idea that it's for a purpose, right? So that I know how many are in the bag.
Yeah.
And he said, well, we can put a circle.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, well, then that would really remind me that there are 18
Yeah.
inside there.
And that is visualizing that idea of cardinality. No, it's not just this one that is 18. It is the whole collection.
I mean, all three of them really
Yeah.
took them out and organized them in such a
In a linear way, right? All of
easy
them.
way
Yeah.
to keep track of them. And when I asked them why, they were able to verbalize that if they were, I mean, Lamari was the one who said if they were all in a bunch, you wouldn't be able to know.
Yeah.
So, but they were able to, even with gesture and a little of my support, to say that keep track of the ones you already counted and the ones you need to count.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to have a conversation with them as a group about the representation. And
Okay.
so that we
How
can.
do you think that conversation, or what do you want them to notice? Or
Well, I think I would like both Annabelle and Lamari to come and talk about the circle that they put around their collection and what does that mean, and why these numerals could be confusing. But really to say, what else could we do to keep track?
I think I hear you saying then using that idea to think about organizing maybe in a more efficient way, which I know you've used 5 frames and 10 frames, but some kind of structure, right? To
Yeah,
help
because
them.
it's true that there's no way that they could prove that there were 18 or 12 unless you start creating an easier to see structure.
Yeah, otherwise we have to count.
Exactly. But I think that to do that, because their lines are so neat and everything, I have to push and give them more.
Okay. Perfect. Well, thanks for
Thank you.
doing
You have to
this
come
today,
back.
and I will definitely hear about how those 20s go.
Let's take a look at this activity in a preschool classroom where children are in the earlier stages of coordinating their counting skills and strategies.
Thank you for coming over here today. So this is how I need your help. Miss Nanette, the teacher next door,
Thank you, Miss
we're friends, and sometimes we like to share materials. And she wants me to tell her how many caps we have and how many gems we have. So how do you think we can help her know how many we have? What do you think, Jasper? What do you think we can do to figure out how many?
Counting.
We can counting. By counting, we can count them. So can you help me count them? She would really appreciate that. So Jasper, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do. I will give you the gems in a minute, and I'm going to give Lisbeth the caps. You're going to open the bag, and you figure out how many there are. Wait. When you're done, you can have a piece of paper, and you can draw on the paper however you figured out how many, okay? So Miss Nanette will know. Okay, Lisbeth, I see you organized your caps nicely there. It's nice and organized. Do you know how many you have? Oh, so how many do you have? 7. So you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 7, 2 more. Okay, Lisbeth, you want to take a marker and show how you figured out there were 7 caps on your paper? Jasper, how many do you have all together? 4. You want to show us on your paper how many you counted?
Representing a quantity of objects they have counted is a new and challenging task for preschool children. Even when they can count small collections successfully, they need time and experience to develop strategies for how to represent those collections.
You did so many, Jasper. You have so many, looks like kind of circle shapes on your paper. Do you think, Jasper, look at your gems. Do you think those are the same? Yeah, you think you have the same number on here as you do in your hand? Do you want to count them again? You don't have to, but you can if you want. You want to? Okay, you can count them again if you like. You want to count the circles? You want to count these? Maybe these? The gems? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a lot. How many? Wow, you counted so many circles, so many shapes.
Let's listen in as this teacher uses student work to reflect with a colleague after doing counting collections with several groups of students.
Hi Lisa, how are you?
Good.
Thanks so much for sitting down with me to talk about counting collections. I am really excited to have this conversation because we got a chance to see 3 different groupings, small groups of children doing counting collections. And so now we're going to come back and look at all of that student work and see what your students are telling us about their counting skills. With counting collections, it's all 3 pieces. It's the stable order, you know, it's the one-to-one tagging, it's the cardinality, and it's also that representing piece. So do they know how much, you know, can they count it accurately, do they know how much, and can they represent? So those 3 parts are really linchpins. Again, we have 7, 9, and 10 objects. And we see some attempt to keep, you know, to represent the quantity, but I think there's, when we think about these 3, the question that comes up is, does the amount on the paper match the collection?
It's okay, and I guess this is what I'm learning with my talks, conversations with you is, you know, just because they can count higher doesn't mean they really understand what the quantities mean, right?
And that's the power of
yeah.
counting collections, is it gives us all this information and it gives children the opportunity to have these experiences, to connect the rote counting with specific objects, and then to think about how do I show that if I have to put the objects away, how can I show what I counted? And maybe even thinking about the language that you use. You know, we can't keep these objects out, but I would like to know how many I counted. Can you draw me a picture of what the collection might look like?
That's a good way. I like that. I like that question. What, can you draw me a picture? Jasper, I think I may have asked, you know, something about do they match? I don't remember. But he went back and he counted. He was counting his circle, his representations with the dots in the middle, which shows me he's thinking about the one-to-one, right? And I'm not sure what prompted him to go back and do that, except maybe, you know, counting can be fun. Maybe he was just having fun doing it again, and, you know, there wasn't any pressure to do anything about that, but he did it, so I think that was interesting. Of course, there's way more than 9, though.
Way more than 9.
But there's no numerals, which when I think of the child who only could write numerals, I think he's leaning more towards an understanding of a quantity visually versus just a number.
And so when you're watching them, you know, in addition to, you know, it's nice that she could do the numeral, but one thinking about, you know, how is she counting? You know, how is she keeping track? You know, is she pushing them to the side? Is she just, you know, counting? Does she have to move them at all? Is she thinking about grouping them? Is she pushing, like thinking about, you know, thinking about twos? Now, obviously, she was tracing, so she was thinking about them one by one. They both were tracing, so they were thinking about one by one. But again, as quantities get bigger over time, over long periods of time, then you're thinking about, are they counting by ones? Are they using other strategies to count and keep track? So you want to keep an eye on those things as well. All right, Lisa, well, thanks so much. I'll look forward to hearing how things continue to develop in the class as you keep doing counting collections and as you vary the quantities and the objects that the kids are counting.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Counting collections is an activity that gives children an opportunity to use their counting skills and strategies in a meaningful way. The purpose of the activity is not necessarily for children to count and represent with complete accuracy, but to provide a window into their thinking and counting strategies, and to allow teachers to ask questions and provide thoughtful scaffolding and support.